Ravnica Allegiance is fully revealed, finally! We've had a lot to look at over the last few weeks. Today we're looking at the best of the rest, the best cards in Ravnica Allegiance not spoiled individually. If you want to catch up on all our Allegiance hype, you can click the first link in the description. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, remember hit that like button, it helps out a lot. Screaming Shield is 1 mana for an artifact equipment with an equip cost of 3. Equip creature gets +0/+3 and has. Pay 2 and tap it, and target player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Flavor text, shh. Okay, this is Millstone, but on a shield and very angry. That's probably why your opponent is milling 3 instead of 2. Screaming Shield's hilarious. Cheap to play, relatively cheap to equip. Gives a big butt to whatever you put it on. This could assist in an actual limited mill strategy. Those stupid petitioners were just the first step. I think Wizards is sneakily adding mill to this limited format, which is ironic as all heck, considering Dimir were in the last set. It's brilliant. Sphinx of the Guildpact is 7 mana for a 5/5 artifact creature Sphinx with flying. The Sphinx is all colors, and it has hexproof from mono-colored. Wow! What a huge monster the Sphinx is. Didn't expect something like this in Ravnica Allegiance. But we are talking about the same plane that brought Trans Guild Courier, so I shouldn't be too surprised, but still, 7 mana for a 5/5 flyer is scary and limited. Give it protection against mono-colored. Very good. Limited playable easily, hot dang. Forbidden Spirit is 1 of anything and 2 white for a 3/3 Spirit Cleric. When it enters the battlefield until your next turn, creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 2 for each of those creatures. I quite enjoyed this card in Commander, since it specifically says until your next turn. In a multiplayer game, you can keep blinking this and forcing your opponents to pay a prison tax to attack you. Put this in a deck next to Norn's Annex, Baird, Ghostly Prison, and more, and soon you'll never get attacked again. Good play in limited. Pseudo Fog, 3 mana for a 3/3 all-around solid creature. Resolute Watchdog is 1 white mana for a 1/3 hound with Defender. You can pay 1 mana and sacrifice the Watchdog, and target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. No. You know what? No. I don't care if this is protecting friggin' Niv Mizzet. I don't care. I'm not sacrificing this good boy. Look at him. He's such a good boy. Who's a good boy? Right. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. A 1/3 for 1 with Defender is actually pretty sweet in a defensive limited deck. I only wish it had another ability besides Defender. It's weird that there's just nothing there. It's peculiar. Sky Tether is 1 white mana for an enchant creature aura. Enchanted creature has Defender and loses flying. I actually really like this card. Unlike most enchant creature auras that give Defender or prevent attacking in some way, this one takes flying away. That's huge for decks looking to get damage through in the air instead of on the ground, when there's now probably a giant Defender that can attack. I see why this is uncommon. Pseudo removal, cheap cost, easily playable and limited. Swirling Torrent is 6 mana for a sorcery. Choose 1 or both. Put target creature on top of its owner's library. Return target creature to its owner's hand. This is the kind of limited bomb I like to see. What a tempo ruining machine. So you get to unsummon a creature, and you get to put 1 on the top of your opponent's library, which stops them from drawing a new card next turn. So you get 2 creatures off the board, and you deny your opponent a draw for 6 mana. It is expensive, but I promise this card is good. Cards like this can bring you back in a game you have no business winning. A really expensive time walk, but a good one. Ill-Gotten Inheritance is 4 mana for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, Ill-Gotten Inheritance deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. You can also pay 6 mana and sacrifice the inheritance, and it deals 4 damage to target opponent and you gain 4 life. This is a common? It certainly doesn't feel like a common. If you get a bunch of these in limited, you'll be so annoying to deal with. Gaining life every turn, draining life every turn. It's a 2-point life swing on every one of your upkeeps, and that's if you only have 1. The main downside to this card is that it doesn't do anything the turn it hits the battlefield, but with this, you're going for the long game. It's a really interesting card. I'm sure there'll be someone who tries to force this deck. It'll be scary. I am the sewer king, said rat. I am quick and cunning, and I know every tunnel. No, I am the king, said zombie. I am cold and deadly, and no rock can harm me. Then Croc came and ate them both. Okay, this tells us a few things. First, rats and zombies clearly have a sewer rivalry. The next Planeswalker deck should be a rat versus zombie. I'm thinking Master Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles against the weird zombie kid who fell in love with a human from Warm Bodies. It's a better love story than Twilight right there. You should see it. Anywho, totally a standard staple, obviously, of course. Yep, totally. Moving on. Vindictive Vampires, 4 mana for a 2/3 vampire. Whenever another creature you control dies, the vampire deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. I have to talk about aristocrat cards whenever I see them, and the ability on the vampire is outrageously powerful, but wow, are they making you pay for it. 4 mana is quite a lot, but once you get it on the battlefield and start sacrificing creatures, you gain a lot of life quickly, you drain your opponents quickly. Vindictive Vampire, it's a scary card with afterlife. life. Just saying, just a bit expensive. Dagger Caster is 4 mana for a 2/3 Viashino Rogue. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. So basically Goblin Chain Whirler, except way less color dependent and way worse in combat. Being a 2/3 for 4 isn't where you want to be, but we're still living in a world where tokens are a thing. Dagger Caster is going to wipe out Afterlife tokens with ease, and while it is expensive, it hits the opponent and a good deal of early drops in this limited format. Perfectly fine sealed or draft inclusion, nothing crazy, but fine. Goblin Gathering is 3 mana for a sorcery. Create a number of 1/1 red goblin tokens equal to 2 plus the number of cards named Goblin Gathering in your graveyard. I remember cards like these, accumulated knowledge way back in the day. Goblin Gathering obviously isn't as strong, but when you cast the second copy of this card, you're getting 3 1/1 goblins, then 4 1/1 goblins, then 5. That's a lot of goblins, which is relevant considering the goblin is a well-supported creature type in Standard right now. I don't expect this card will make Standard goblins amazing, but it's a cool card anyways. Rubble Reading is 4 mana for a sorcery. Destroy target land, scry 2. This is probably the closest we're going to get to dedicated land destruction in a Standard set for some time. Rubble Reading is the standard 4+ mana for this effect, but it comes with scry 2, an actually useful keyword. Maybe eventually we'll see real land destruction again, but until then, the fact that this exists is kind of a miracle. Rumbling Ruin is 6 mana for a 6/6 elemental. When it enters the battlefield, count the number of +1/+1 counters on creatures you control. Creatures your opponents control with power less than or equal to that number can't block this turn. I find this card super cool. Not only does it synergize with Riot, the obvious mechanic, but it also synergizes with Adapt. If you can find a way to include some green Simic cards in your Gruul deck, boom, synergy. Or make some Team or Nonsense with synergy crossovers. I enjoy cards like this that are flexible in the colors they serve. Rumbling Ruin is expensive, but a great curve topper in the right deck. Gatebreaker Ram is 3 mana for a 2/2 sheep. Oh, it's a sheep, yay. The Ram gets +1/+1 for each gate you control. As long as you control 2 or more gates, the Ram has Vigilance and Trample. I'm gonna try and contain my excitement because this is a sheep. Anyways, 3 mana for a 2/2 that gets pumped by gates is actually pretty good. Even just 1 gate makes it a 3/3 for 3. 2 gates, a 4/4 for 3 with Vigilance and Trample. At that point, we're looking at a dangerous limited card. It gets better the longer the game goes, and the more gates you play, the more terrifying this becomes. Looking like gates might be a solid limited strategy. It's so weird. Open the Gates is 1 green mana for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card or gate card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Whoa! We're back to 1 mana land tutors. This is nice. Players were using Flower to grab plains and forests, but now all green players can use Open the Gates too. If they need either gates for fixing and more gates or just basic lands for fixing, in this upcoming Standard format, decks are going to push the color limits. Open the Gates can easily be Standard playable the second a deck comes along that needs the additional fixing. It's a sick card. Tower Defense is back. That's actually really good news because this uncommon's over $1 right now. This goes in Doran right quick and is now a perfect addition to Arcades in Standard. This is one of the most Standard playable cards we've seen so far, considering Arcades can be a real deck. Tower Defense in Standard is awesome. That's a solid reprint. Final Payment is 1 white and 1 black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast it, pay 5 life or sacrifice a creature or enchantment. Destroy target creature. What a price to pay for this instant speed 2 mana removal spell. Designed for limited, Final Payment makes you pay big to get rid of something you can't deal with. Thanks to Afterlife, you'll hopefully have a 1/1 token to ditch, but if you don't, you better target something with this that's worth the 5 life or potentially important creature you're about to say goodbye to. It's a good card, but definitely scary. Knight of Last Breath is 5 of anything, 1 white and 1 black for a 4/4 giant knight with Afterlife 3. You can pay 3 mana and sacrifice another non-token creature to create a 1/1 white and black spirit token with flying. Knight of Last Breath is so big. Afterlife 3? Dude's got souls all up in there. A 4/4 for 7 is nothing to write home about, but his ability to create more flyers out of creatures you don't need anymore or creatures about to die has a lot of value, and again, he becomes 3 1/1 flyers when he dies. Oof, he's a big boy. Ravnica Allegiance is looking really cool. There are tons of flavorful cards, powerful cards, funny flavor text. The set has it all. Now that we've seen the entire set, how are you feeling? Is this set everything that you want it to be? Is this what you expected? I gotta hear what you're thinking, so please leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts. We'll chat about it. Also, be sure to stay tuned to the channel for the Allegiance pre-release guide, draft guide, deck text, and more coming at you real soon. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. Ravnica Allegiance release is closing in really fast, which means now's the perfect time to pre-order that Ravnica goodness. You can get boxes on TCG Player right now for only $97 each. If you don't have a local game store or yours is charging way too much, I got you back. Just click the link on the screen. Helps the channel out a bunch. Whenever you click that link, by the way, I get a little tingly feeling. It's really exciting, actually. So, click it, please. Gosh, enjoy.